Let's go ahead and begin the House Education Administration Committee members. Let's start out by calling the roll, Madam Clerk.
Representatives Baum, Bolso, Butler, Sapicki, Fritz, Gant, Gillespie, Haston, Hurt, Lafferty, Love, McKenzie, Parkinson, Reagan, Ritchie, Stevens, Warner, Vice Chairman Slater, Chairman White. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Members, anybody, before we start, last week, I had gone down and asked Senator Fritz to lead our prayer. Then I walked right on past that. So we always like to begin our committees with a prayer. Representative Fritz, you're recognized.
Make us brothers and sisters in spirit in seeking the very best for education. We pray that in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen. Thank you very much, Representative Fritz. Members, any announcements or recognitions from anyone before we get started? Seeing none, we have a short calendar, so we get right down to business. Members, I'd like to go out of order, start with item number 8, House Bill 2326. Chairman Hicks, you are recognized. He's been in committee for a couple hours, so you're the only one that's not on the committee. So we'll recognize Chairman Hicks on House Bill 2326. We got a motion, a second. Do we have an amendment we need to address, I believe? And that is?
I think so. There was an amendment. I do believe that was filed by your office.
Okay, yes. And have talked to Chairman Hicks about this, and I'll get him to respond. Understand it's a friendly amendment. That amendment is Amendment 17825. Do I have a motion? Can I do that myself? Okay. Yeah, motion second on that. And all it added to his language. It says, let me find it here. It just in the bill where it says, moving on to 5th grade, there's a provision for tutoring services for the entirety of 5th grade. And we added or the student attending a learning loss bridge camp. Representative Hicks, is that what you understand?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And is there any issue that you would like to express on that?
Nope. I think we're good to go. Proper posture to move forward.
Okay. Questions on the amendment? We're on 17825. Any objection? Hearing none, all those in favor to add an amendment to the bill indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. You're now back on your bill as amended. Go ahead and explain.
All right, members. So we discussed this a little bit. So we've all, heard from those parents, and I've even had letters from kids, to be honest with you, from students back in the district saying, hey, what about an alternative path for 4th grade? And so after talking to many of my colleagues and all the folks back in the district and honestly across the state, this bill comes up with just that, an alternative path to 5th grade. And so now the way that we'll be able to do this, if a student shows that adequate growth on a screener, or if they show it on those TCAPs from 3rd grade to 4th grade, they move on. But let's say they do not show that adequate growth. If they do not, then a conference will be held between the parent, guardian, the teacher, and the principal to determine whether that student should move on or should they be promoted. So that's what will happen in that. Again, under this legislation, a student who was promoted to 4th grade using that alternative pathway who has not demonstrated adequate growth can be promoted with interventions and additional support. So that being, what I would underline there, interventions and additional support. That would be what this bill does.
With that explanation, Representative Warner, you had a question?
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sponsor. Numerous calls about this 4th grade retention, and I just want to thank you for the work you put into it. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for working with the committee.
I appreciate you.
Members, anyone else? We're on House Bill 2326, but Chairman Hicks, any further discussion? Question's been called. Any objection? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving House Bill 2326 to calendar rules indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. And I also appreciate you working on this very much.
Thank you, Chairman and committee, and thanks to all the committee members who played a part in getting this across the finish line. Thank you all.
Members, this brings us back to House Bill 2276. I don't see Representative Mitchell here, so we roll this to the hill of the calendar at this point and come back to address that. Item number 2, House Bill 2219 by Representative Love. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I think those who have been here for any number of years know the extensive work I've done on Tennessee State University financing, particularly around the area of capacity grants, which fund teaching, research, and extension work at the university. This particular bill, though it's not moving in the Senate, I want to go ahead and make note that it's an important bill I plan to bring back next year to try to get twice the state required match for Tennessee State University. And we know that when these capacity grants are matched, it enables them to do much more work in the areas of teaching, research, and extension. Tennessee State has, I think, 55 counties in which they operate extension offices, and there are 95 counties. So this will be a great help for them next year. With that, Mr. Chair, we'll be taking this particular bill off notice.
Without any objection, House Bill 2219 by Representative Love off notice. Thank you very much. You also have item number 3, House Bill 2224. You got a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. This particular piece of legislation we brought to you last year. It passed last year, but let me remind you what it is. It requires the Department of Education to notify each local education agency in writing of all state and federal grants available to assist the LEA in expanding mental health services and resources in schools by October 15th, 2024, and each October 15th thereafter.
Okay, with that explanation, members, discussion. House Bill 2224. Question been called. Any objection to the question? Hearing none. All those in favor of moving 2224 out to calendar rules indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moves out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Item number 4, House Bill 2008 by Chairman Haston. You are recognized. Got a motion and a second. Any amendment we need to deal with?
I believe, make sure that we're on, I think it's 13488.
That is correct, and it rewrites the bill. Got a motion to adopt. Any objection? Hearing none, all those in favor of adding the amendment to House Bill 2008 indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Your bill is properly amended. You are recognized, Chairman Haston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're seeing a growing number of public schools go cashless at sporting events. This bill would protect students who don't have access to a credit card or debit card or have a phone with access to a cashless payment app by requiring public school athletic events to allow cash purchases of tickets either at the game or in advance for students. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chairman Haston, and I really do like this bill. Just so much common sense there. Any comments, questions of Chairman Haston on this particular? Question been called. Any objection? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving House Bill 2008 out to calendar rules indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 5, House Bill 2283 by Chairman Haston. You're recognized.
Thank you. And I believe correct me if I'm wrong, I think the amendment is 17078.
That is the last one that does rewrite the bill. Members, any objection to the amendment being added to the bill since it rewrites it? Motion and second. Any objection? Hearing none, all those in favor of adding the amendment to House Bill 2283 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Your bill is properly amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, and this came with an agreement between the 3 largest vendors that had worked together and worked out this language. But this bill outlines some needed guidelines for digitizing the school mapping process. This mapping process is usually done in thick, bulky binders, hard to understand, not always distributed to first responders. And even when they are distributed, they're often in a format that's inconsistent from district to district. This bill solves these issues. Currently, over 100 schools in Tennessee have already acted and are following similar guidelines that are in this legislation. This bill is permissive. It is not saying a school or LEA has to do this, just that if they choose to digitize mapping of their school, that they will use these consistent guidelines, which have been proven effective. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions to Chairman Haston on this bill? Chairman Reagan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry, Chairman Haston, I missed the number of schools already doing this. Can you tell me again?
You recognize Chairman Hayes.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. About 100 schools are already doing this, and we'll be just following some of the guidelines that they're already putting into place that have been proven effective.
Thank you.
Further questions? By the way, I did see this demonstrated, and it kind of makes a lot of sense where we all get on the same page when we have to respond to an emergency in our schools.
Absolutely.
Questions on House Bill 2283? Any objection to the question being called? Hearing none, all those in favor of House Bill 2283 moving out to finance indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And you have one more, Chairman Haston, House Bill 2285.
Yes.
We're looking at an amendment, I believe. Do I have a motion second on the bill, man? Okay, you're recognized, Chairman Haston.
And I believe the amendment is 17104.
That is correct. That amendment does rewrite the bill. You have a motion second on the amendment, so no objections to adding to the bill for proper discussion. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Your bill is amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill would allow the Commissioner of Education to grant temporary teaching permits for courses requiring end-of-course examination. It's preferable to only have qualified teachers with valid license, but occasionally districts encounter situations where they need more flexibility with these hard-to-staff teaching positions. This bill ensures that temporary teaching permits are used as only a last resort by districts when filing vacancies for EOC requiring courses, EOC required courses. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Open to discussion of Chairman Haston on his bill 2285. Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the chairman, about how many courses per school would this be applicable to in your estimate, sir?
You're recognized, Chairman Haston.
Thank you. Right now, there's math, English, there's a science or a biology, and a history. So it would be 4 different subjects currently.
Thank you.
Chairman Reagan, any follow-up? Okay. Members, anyone else have a question of Chairman Haston on House Bill 2285? Question been called. Any objection? Hearing none. All those in favor of 2285 moving out to calendar and rules indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Moves out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Haston. Item number 7, House Bill 390 by Chairman Sapicki. You have a motion to second. Any amendments?
There is an amendment, Mr. Chairman. It's 018124. It makes the bill.
You got a motion on and a second on 18124. Does rewrite the bill. So any objection to adding it to the bill? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. You are amended properly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. This is a cleanup bill for Title 49. We've added some things to this that have been at request of some of the chairmen here. So I'm going to read through the sections real quick, tell you what each section does, and then answer any questions, Mr. Chairman. First section deletes a code in reference to bullet-resistant glass. That type of thing does not exist. Section 2 prohibits an LEA from creating a policy that establishes a minimum grade above 0. Section 3 changes the screening requirement for RTI to 3 times per year in grades K through 3, screened in grades 4 through 8 if the student is determined at risk. Deletes the state requirement to screen in grades 9 through 12 and also allows LEAs to use high dosage, low ratio tutoring to satisfy the RTI requirements. So now they're interchangeable. Sections 4 through 7 changes from every year to every 3 years. The LEAs are required to submit a comprehensive support and improvement plan. Section 8 states that a student's performance data of a student who enrolls in a public school on or after December 31st cannot be used to assign a letter grade to that public school. Section 9, the State Board of Education shall not use the chronic absenteeism as a performance metric. Instead, each LEA shall develop, adopt, and implement a chronic absenteeism intervention policy that shall be submitted to the department every 3 years. It defines chronic absenteeism for this part as a student who has been absent 18 or more days in the school year, or the equivalent of 18 days if using an hours-based system in accordance with the State Board of Education. And then lastly, section 10, 11, and so forth is just the implementation of this bill. Some of these things you've seen before in this committee, members, but I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Chairman Sapicki. Our first question is Representative McKenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you know, this is one of those bills that does a lot, and that's one of the concerns that I have. I like, 80% of what this bill does, and I hate to that I'm having to speak against one aspect of it when it does so many things very, very well. But the piece that concerns me, and I think concerns a lot of our educators and administrators, is the letter grade part of it, or the actual scoring part of it. And this comes from someone in Upper East Tennessee, and I wholeheartedly agree that, sometimes students just have a bad 9 weeks. We've all had bad semesters, I guarantee you. Well, there may be some that just kept all 4.0s the whole time, but sometimes you just have a bad semester, and that's what's kind of the way it goes. I think in human nature, but this really almost prevents that student from kind of getting back on track to even getting to a passing posture. And when you true up the grades, I understand you want the actual number, but if a student had a 35 that first 9 weeks, to pass, they'll probably need like an 85. So that student has turned it around, doing great work, maybe had something traumatic home, who knows? But that's my concern, is that it takes away the possibility of a student passing once they've kind of gotten over their challenging time. So that's my concern with that aspect of the bill.
Thank you, Representative McKenzie. Chairman Speaker, would you like to address?
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Representative Ritchie.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, sponsor, for bringing the bill. Just to echo what Collie was mentioning, my understanding from reading through the bill earlier, when it's talking about the letter grades, is more relevant to the actual school. So if the student was half of the time frame with whichever school they're with longer, as far as for the 2 9-week courses, is who would actually retain that letter grade if they're transferring out. Is that correct?
Chairman speaking.
What section of the bill you're talking about? Are you talking about the December 31st aspect of it?
Correct. So with
Yes,
it being
yes.
December 31st, if it's before then
Yes.
it would go to the new school. If
Previous
it's
school.
January 1st, it would retain there, correct?
You recognize?
Thank you. That is correct. So if a student comes after December 31st, then the originating district would be responsible for those grades. If it's before December 31st, then those districts feel they have enough time to mitigate that student's outcomes.
Thank you. Members, further questions to Chairman Sapicki? Question's been called. Any objection to the question? Hearing none. So all those in favor of House Bill 390, moving to calendar rules, indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and please see the clerk if you'd like to register as a no vote. Members, we had a shorter calendar today. Excuse me 1 second. We are back to the Hill. Item number 1, HB 2276, that has been taken off notice. So members, we have had a shorter calendar. We've worked hard this session and a lot of bills, some that were challenging, some that were, we've had a lot of good discussion on. And I really do want to say how much I appreciate this committee and everyone for hanging in there and discussing things and the way they should. And we've had some good discussion. So Chairman Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank you on a job well done, running a great committee here that does a lot of great things for our students across the state. And I just want to, again, thank you and the rest of the chairman.
Thank you. Chairman Warner.
And your support staff. They do an awesome job too, and I forgot them, but thank you to all the support staff.
Yeah, actually, as I always say, without them, we're just a bunch of talking heads. So they do all the work and we keep us organized. I appreciate Payman in my office, keeping things straight, and our clerks and everyone for all their jobs. So thank you very much. Members, anything else? Representative Antonio Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess you're all right. No, really, I appreciate everything you've done. We've been doing this for a little while now together. So, I enjoyed it. It's a good committee. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Always appreciate good discussion because we're here about trying to find solutions that work best for the children across our state. Members, anything else? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Okay, with that objection, we are adjourned, subject to the call of the chair.